Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaRachakodash. The born and speaking to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who were well and taught us this 100% truth. Much peace and blessings be unto you, hopeful, elected to push not this word of thought, truth, and sincerity. To all you and I do say shalom. The Akra, I'm coming in with a quick hit going to the book of 2 Chronicles, the 35th chapter. And I'm going to start out at verse 20. And it reads, after all this, when Josiah, and after all this, for a bit of context, is going to the Passover, which wasn't kept that great since the days of Samuel the prophet. But continuing on, it reads, after all this, when Josiah, the king of, Judah, had prepared the temple, Necho, king of Egypt, and we know the king of Egypt having its own title, that being Pharaoh. And that's how it's always been throughout history and amongst various, countries. They have their own titles for a leader over the people. Just like how here in Babylon the Great, we have the title president. And, in Canada, they have the prime minister. And in other countries, they have supreme leader, right? Dictatorship, chairman, etc. There's various titles to pertain to a leader. And, Egypt's case, it was the Pharaoh. And the reason to say Necho, king of Egypt, came out to fight against Carchemish by Euphrates. And Josiah went out against him. But he sent ambassadors to him, saying, what have I to do with thee, thou king of Judah? I come not against thee this day, but against the house wherewith I have war. For power commanded me to make haste, forbear thee from meddling with power who is with me, that he destroy thee not. Nevertheless, Josiah would not turn his face from him, but disguised himself that he might fight with them, and hearkened from the mouth of power, and came to fight in the valley of Megiddo. And the archer shot at King Josiah, and the king said unto his servants, have me away, for I am sore wounded. The servants therefore took him out of the chariot and put him in the second chariot that he had, and they brought him to Jerusalem, and he died and was buried in one of the sepulchres of his fathers, and all Judah and Jerusalem mourned for Josiah. And Jeremiah, the weeping prophet, lamented for Josiah, and all the singing men and all the singing women spake of Josiah in their lamentations to this day, and made them an ordinance in Israel, and behold, they are written in Lamentations. Right, and Lamentations is a book Jeremiah wrote. But the point right there was Josiah had died. And that reminded me of, or really this account reminded me after reading a verse in the book of Isaiah, the 57th chapter, verse 1. Right? Because one thing people forget is that King Josiah, though he wasn't a very spiritual man, he was a just man. All right? He was a just man. He did good. He didn't do wickedness. Right, if I'm correct. And I'll put a precept in the book of Isaiah, the 57th chapter, verse 1. And it reads, the righteous perisheth, and perish means to be, to die out, to pass away. The righteous perisheth, and no man layeth it to heart meaning mind. And merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. Yeah, because really it was really an act of mercy from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai to be preserved from the evil that was to come. And that evil to come was going to be the Babylonian captivity, laid on the way by, King Nebuchadnezzar II. And, alongside the help of, Edomites, man, that was in the book of Psalms, the 137th chapter, ties into that, how a daughter of Babylon helped to raise the city of Jerusalem. And you also read about them, if I'm not mistaken, it was 1st or 2nd Ezra, the 4th chapter or so, when it goes into, how they helped the Babylonians out, right? And so a reason to say it was taken away from the evil to come, right? So he wouldn't have suffered, that destruction of the city. As a matter of fact, it was really his son Zedekiah that had to go through that travail. But the reason to say, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come, he shall enter into peace, they shall rest in their beds, each one walking in his uprightness. And that's because really what's it called, the afterlife is a world calls it really he goes back to the spirit world. That's a beautiful place to be in, man. It's a lovely place, it's not nice and comforting. You just chill, right? you're in a better state than if you were here in this hellhole known as earth, which is a place of judgment pursuant to the book of Ecclesiastes, right? I saw this, a place of judgment, and all you see is what's it called, abomination and wickedness and sighing and crying and lamentation and mourning in this place, right? And, this verse also pertains to the men of the Lord, man. There are certain men that pass away, natural causes and such. And what's it called? People don't lay it to heart. They just think that what's it called? He died, all right. Or what's it called? Or in certain circumstances, they're that stubborn and they hate the men of the Lord that much. They're like, oh yeah, he got killed. Yeah, ha ha ha, some bullshit like that. But really, what's it called? The Lord just preserving those men, His men, as a sign of mercy. And really, the ones on this earth are the ones, what's it called? Inferior men are supposed to be, what's it called? Inferior, for the coming terrors of the Lord. I'm going to pull a quick precept out. Shabbat with me. It was in the book of Obadiah or so. It won't tell, that day of the Lord is dreadful. All right, this is the book of Salakia. Yeah, I count the book of Obadiah, the first chapter, verse 18. For the day of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is near upon all the heathen. Right, and that starts off in America, Babylon the Great, which is a great melting pot because it's a culmination of various heathen cultures mingling into one. Right, you have all nations here. Right, all 18 nations, all 12 tribes, and the rest of the 18 nations. Right, as thou hast done, it shall be done to thee, or worship return upon thine own head. And what's it called? Esau's to face recompense. But the point right there was the first clause in this sentence. A clause meaning a part of a sentence. So the clause in this verse or this sentence will be for the day of the Lord is upon all the heathen. All right, because what's it called? That's the great terrible destruction. And before that, it's a build-up. You got Jacob's trouble, which is judgment upon our nation of Israel for the wickedness. And then what's it called? You see a lot of chaos and sedition and so on and so forth. The things you read about in Second Ezra, if I'm saying it was 15 and 16, going into what's it called? Sedition. A neighbor against neighbor. All right, you're gonna see a lot of chaos over here. Esau coming in with great wrath, right? That's a terrible thing. That's gonna be a terrible thing to see. That's evil right there. So the fact that the Lord takes out certain men, peacefully, takes them back to the spirit world before any of this goes on, that's an act of mercy, right? So call on like Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua for that. All right. If I'm mistaken, there's another precept. Bear with me. Bear with me. I believe it was in Wisdom of Solomon. I perceive it was the 3rd chapter. All right. Yeah. Look at this. Wisdom of Solomon, the 4th chapter, verse 7. But though the righteous be prevented with death, yet shall they be in rest. Right? Because the spirit realm is a peaceful place to be rather than on this earth. Right? And the apostles have done certain lessons on certain men of the Lord that have finished their course. All right, what's it called? Even the 3rd chapter. Hell, look at this. But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, and there shall no torment touch them. In the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, and their departure is taken for misery. Well, it's not miserable, right? And they're going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. For they will be punished in the sight of men, yet as their hope full of immortality. And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua approved them and found them worthy for himself. As gold in the furnace hath he tried them and received them as a burnt offering. It's going to what's it called? The martyrdom of the Lord's men, right? Because they're getting murdered, man, And if you know anything about the human anatomy, or if you have any basic common sense, you know that the human body possesses pain receptors, so you'll be able to inflict pain and you'll be able to feel that pain, right? And what Esau's done, and really what's it called? Even the wicked of our people, man. All right, they afflicted the prophets. right? Jake has a lot of blood on their hands too. People that have murdered the prophets, they got blood on their hands. But see, with that murder comes pain. Those prophets, it makes their going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace, right? Because ultimately, hey, it's really they're being tried, man. From Yahweh Shai. The Lord sees their faith in that day, will die for this truth. Strive unto this truth unto death, right? Going back to Psalms 116 and 15. It makes mention how, struggle with me. Yeah, it reads, precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. And that pertains to, being a living sacrifice, or just sacrificing your time for this truth, for Yahweh Shai. But it's also in a little sense, man. Throughout history, you have the men of the Lord die, right? And what people try to use is that verse about, going from 6 notes in the Deuteronomy or so, goes into how the prophet that lieth, he shall be put to death. Well, they try and use that on the prophets, like, oh no, those are wicked men. No, those aren't wicked men. But see, you don't consider. You don't consider that death was really a noble sacrifice, if you will, man. Hey, look at Yahweh Shai. You crucified him. You made it look like he was nobody, but he was really somebody, right? And very soon he's coming with great glory, man. Right? So, again, Wisdom of Solomon. I'll put out again, 3rd chapter. Right? Verse 2, in the sight of the unwise, they seem to die. And you guys are really unwise because you guys, possess the wisdom of this world rather than the wisdom of the heavens, man. That's true divine wisdom, right? Which is given to us from Yahweh Shai. All right, get time back to Proverbs, the 2nd chapter. I'll pull that out, actually. It reads about how the Lord is the one that gives us this stuff. All right, verse 6. For the Lord, Yahweh Shai, gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. And time back to Sirach, a.k.a. Ecclesiasticus, or, as is written in the prologue, the book of Wisdom, the 1st chapter, verse 1, all wisdom cometh from Yahweh Shai. And also in 1 Samuel, the 2nd chapter, goes into how the Lord is a power of knowledge. I believe it was verse 3 or 4, so. Right, so for the Lord giveth wisdom, man. Right? So, the masses of our people, and really the world in general, you heathen, all you people are unwise. The only wise people on this planet Earth are the elect. But, they're of divine enlightenment. Right? When you tell somebody enlighten me, you're basically telling them to give you the full information, all the information. That's what Yahweh Shai did. Though time back to certain verses, I forget. They go into how we only know about a little bit, man. There's still a lot of stuff hidden, right? But it goes into saying, though so like in the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, and their departure is taken from misery. But it's really not. It was a beautiful thing when that happened, right? Because now they go back to the spirit world. And that's a feat as well. That's a great work too. Even now amongst these swaggy taggy Christians, when they consider the men of the men of the Lord, the men of old, like, damn, these men really died for the Lord. That's wondrous. Look at Stephen, man. Look at Antipas, Yahweh Shai's faithful martyr, right? Polycarp, men of that sort, great men. And they're going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. Right? For though they be punished in the sight of men, as they're hopeful of immortality. And every man a little chastised. And Yahweh Shai was a little chastised too. Not consider his entire eternity, his entire future coming soon. Alright? That will outweigh this little chastisement, man. Jay can't grasp that within their little walnut-sized fucking brain. They're like, it's too hard, Well, that's because Jake is emotional, right? If Yahweh Shai been through it, we're gonna walk through it too. I'm mistaken, there's a verse in 1 and 2 Peter goes into how to walk in the steps of Yahweh Shai. All right, he was a good example of how to be, right, in the law, Because he's a man without sin. You know, he was a lamb without blemish. He was sinless. You know, so we try to live up to that standard that we can in this flesh, but we try to, right? We don't let being in this flesh, you know, beat us down. We don't let that be an excuse to eat pork and fucking shrimp and some shit like that. And considering the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak, we're also gonna, and those being words of Yahweh Shai, we're also gonna, you know, keep that, you know, confidence up. Yahweh Shai been through, though he tried to, avoid, you know, crucifixion, you know, persecution. He still went through it, man. There's no turning back. From the prophecy, and going back to Isaiah the 55th chapter, verse 11, wasn't how the word of the Lord shall accomplish that which he pleases. Yahweh Shai had to sit through, you know, he had to go through that. You know, we have to go through that too. I'm gonna put that out actually. And there's plenty of precepts going into how the word of the Lord, you know, stands. You can't turn it back. Because again, the ways of the man are of the Lord. You know, what's it clear? That one verse going into how man, you know, what's it called? You know, devises his own purpose, but the Lord is the one that directs his steps. You know, that's why at the end of the day, it's the Lord willing. You know, that was a precept too. One of the epistles, if I'm mistaken, that was in the book of James or so. They go into how, hey, Lord willing, we can't just claim to, you know, do one thing because, hey, the Lord could have it entirely different. And, you know, that ties back to, you have that one quote by Master Oogway in freaking Kung Fu Panda 1. They go into how you know, what's it called, the future's a mystery or something like that. And that's just the word of advice within the world. But this is the book of Isaiah, the 55th chapter, verse 11. So shall my word be, and it is the, you know, the word of the Lord, right? Be that goeth out of my mouth, it shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Right, so it shall come to fruition. With that being set up, this was edifying. To the next one, I do say shalom.